Tensura What If? Silver Timeline by CBCTEBAS Chapter 43 Sisters Assist in Subordinate Punishment. It was now the final day of Rimuru's vacation. He was saying his goodbyes to everyone in the facility. He planned to go to Guy's place before going home. Well, then I'll be going now. With a wave of his hand, he transported to the frozen continent. In front of the castle awaits him were Rain and Misery. Welcome Rimuru, Rain said with a wave. Well then Rimuru, let us go. Guy-sama has been waiting for your arrival. Misery guided the way as they all entered the castle. It's been so long since I've been here, Rimuru said as he looked around. Barely anything changed. That doesn't feel like a compliment. Guy, who is seen seating in his throne, said. So why the visit here, Rimuru? Guy stood up and walked towards Rimuru. Nothing much really, Rimuru shrugs. Just felt like visiting. Is there a problem? I wouldn't say problem, Guy sighed to himself. Whatever, just don't do anything unreasonable. Will do, Rimuru mockingly saluted. As the day continued in the frozen continent, Rimuru was teaching Misery some new recipe. With Rain watching them from across the table, taste testing the samples. Velzard walked in on them. Oh my, am I interrupting? Velzard asked as she saw them preparing another dish. Not at all, Velzard-sama, would you like some as well? Misery said as she turned to bow at her. Please seat here, Velzard-sama. Rain said as she placed another chair for Velzard to seat on. Velzard watched as the trio continued their activities. Velzard was recalling her talk with Velgrand, wondering if she should talk with Rimuru about it or not. I've been meddling too much, maybe I should stay quiet for now, she said to herself as she took a bite of a new dish presented to her. A cold dessert that Rimuru called a sundae. Oh, this is very delicious, Velzard said as she took another bite. The sweetest dish I've tasted so far. Rimuru, another one, Rain said as she presented her glass with her lips covered in ice cream. Everyone except for Rain laughed at her appearance, as Rimuru gave her another serving. After Misery learnt the way to make it, and Rain was finally full, Rimuru took a glance at them both, then at Velzard, who nodded her head at him. Rain, Misery, could you two bring a couple of servings to Guy? Velzard ordered the two primordials. He'll be angry if we don't give him any. That's true, Rimuru laughed a bit and placed 4 different sundaes. Here you go. Both primordials bowed to Velzard before leaving the room. As Rimuru finishes cleaning up, he turned and looked at Velzard, who has been silently watching him. So for what reason did you contact me to come here? Rimuru said as he sat down in front of Velzard, with the table the only thing separating them. I'm not actually sure if I should say it now, Velzard said, playing with her glass that once had a sundae in it. What the, then you just wasted my last day coming here, Rimuru said, annoyed. Not true, you were able to visit Rain and Misery before you left, Velzard replied to his complaint. I would have visited them when I delivered something for Raintan anyway, Rimuru countered, recalling that he needs to get Rain some alcohol. Fine, Velzard said, raising both hands slightly, gesturing she gives up. Let's just put it like this, do you have anyone you have romantic feelings for? Rimuru looked shocked hearing those words from Velzard. Romantic feelings? Me? Look Velzard, I may not know much about love, but I don't think you should go for someone like me, Rimuru said with a concerned tone. Oh my, Velzard giggled at Rimuru's misunderstanding. Well, let's try prodding with this misunderstanding. Why not? You seem like a strong person. You have brother's approval, named, and it doesn't seem boring to be with you, especially with your cooking skills and dishes, Velzard counted. Then with her eyes looking at him directly, Velgrand said so herself, you feel comfortable to be with. Rimuru couldn't find the right words to answer back. Look here Velzard, I don't know if you and Guy are like that. But trying to be with me? I don't know about that, he said, scratching the back of his neck. Why not? I don't get it. Those romantic feelings, I don't understand it one bit. Actually, I'm sure most spiritual beings don't, Rimuru said with a somber tone. Romantic feelings are for those that procreate, we don't need those feelings. So it's not like you don't want to. But you're not sure how'll it go, since you don't understand it. Am I correct? Velzard concluded, waiting for confirmation. Rimuru leaned into his chair. Well, something like that. Though I doubt, I need to understand it, since I don't have someone I like romantically. I see, anyway that was just a joke anyway. Velzard said with a laugh. I wasn't talking about me anyway. I just saw how those pharaohs fall for humans and got curious. Velzard brushed off with an excuse. Don't do that again, you really put me on the spot there. Rimuru said with a strained laugh. Velzard laughed with him. Then what about your past, future, memories? Don't you have someone you liked back then? Rimuru furrowed his brows. We're continuing the topic? I don't recall much on the latter life, but the human one, I did have crushes. I think I was rejected back then and stopped focusing on romance and more on getting a job. In a similar manner, we don't bother with romance, Velzard said, and with a giggle. To think you would get rejected though, that's a funny one. Yeah. Then what about you? Aren't you and Guy in a romantic relationship, or is it similar to me and Velgrind's? Rimuru asked Velzard, trying to get back at her. Nonsense, like you said. Romance isn't really our strong suit at best, friendship or camaraderie is the closest we can get. Velzard answered, though, you and Velgrind's relationship are on thin ice on that one. What do you mean? You're not dense, you tell me what I mean. Velzard said with a serious expression, before going back to a more simple one. Rimuru sighed, you mean how Velgrind's being more intimate, like with the tea party. Oh, so you do know. Velzard clapped her hand happily. I doubt it's anything like that though, Rimuru said back. Lake constantly does that as well, and it's not for anything romantic. What about that vampire of Tulite? Luminos, right? Velzard pointed out. Velgrind seems to be jealous of her after all. Luminos? She's a friend of mine, Rimuru answered, though sometimes I do find her actions suspicious. I do think she feels something for me, but if she doesn't say anything, I'll just stay quiet and respect her decision, he shrugs. Hey. So Velgrind does have some competition. Guess that's all I'll do for now, as long as you noticed Velgrind and have suspicion. Velzard thought to herself. You're right. Velzard said, backing down for now. She was satisfied with what she learned. Sorry for the awkward topic. Soon the day passes and Rimuru finally arrived on Citadel. The first thing that grated his eyes were two people. Lay and Velgrind were waiting his arrival. Welcome back, both said in unison. Rimuru nodded. It's good to be back. That felt longer than it should though. Soon Rimuru noticed the others who were waiting with them. The primordials as well as the angels under Lay. As much as I want you to relax after returning, Velgrind said with a sigh. We have something you need to see. Rimuru tilted his head and followed them to his office, where Enki and Siren were sitting down shamefully. What's this about? Rimuru asked as he sat to his chair, folding his arms on the table. Inside the office are Rimuru, Enki, Siren, Velgrind, Lay, Blanc, and Apollyon. We apologize from the bottom of our hearts, Rimuru-sama. The two quickly took to the floor and bowed, low enough that their heads touched the floor. Tell me what happened first, then I'll think about if I forgive you, Rimuru said with a serious tone. The two flinched and raised their head before explaining. And so the two explained the situation they found themselves in, with Blanc and Apollyon pitching in from time to time to confirm the information. They accepted the request of two primordial, great, spirits, and challenged them to a fight. Unfortunately, they are not capable to defeat them, nor capable to do the requirement to win. Blanc and Apollyon took both of the two, before they can be absorbed by the primordial, great, spirits. With both spirits furious, they created beings to capture them. And with the death of many subordinates from both sides. We managed to escape, Blanc said. It is all thanks to Lord Gamaliel and the reinforcement that arrived. Apollyon added in. Rimuru sighed, give me the damage report later. Apollyon bowed. Rimuru tapped the table continuously, to the two. Each tap was loud, like it was the countdown until their death. So, with all of that information, what do you have to say again? Rimuru stared down at the two that are still kneeling on the floor. We are not worthy of Rimuru-sama's forgiveness. Siren said, voice trembling. She has never seen Rimuru with that expression before. We are prepared for any punishment, Enki added, seeing Siren tremble. Rimuru was angry at the two. Not only did they challenge something more than they can handle, they also wasted the lives of subordinates. Even worse, Lay and Velgrind are already on Citadel. They should have reported first instead of accepting any punishment, huh? Rimuru murmured to himself, thinking of what he should do. To the two, Rimuru's words brought them into a cold sweat, metaphorically. If I told you to die, will you? Rimuru questioned, though his tone says otherwise. Of course Rimuru-sama. Just say the word, both answered immediately. Death is nothing to the two compared to the shame they feel at the moment. In fact, if their death would suffice, then, they more than welcome their demise. You idiots, Rimuru's expression changed into annoyance. Killing you two would be a waste of manpower. I'll give you two a chance to redeem yourselves. The two were very happy. They bowed again, hitting the floor. Although only lightly, they felt relieved. Thank you very much, Rimuru-sama. So you say, Rimuru smiled evilly. I want you two to defeat those two primordial spirits and take their powers. If you can't, well, useless subordinates are not needed. The two froze. Defeat them? Those two? That's impossible for us. They couldn't say anything. They were given a chance. They should be grateful for that. You have a millennium to do it. Both your positions will be given to the next person in charge in your departments. Figure out a way to redeem yourselves to retake those positions back. Rimuru said as he gestures for them to leave the office. Of course, right away. Both stood up and walked out the door. Rimuru then looked at Velgrind and Lei. Too much? Lei shook her head. Just enough if you ask me, Rimuru-sama. Personally, you could have been harsher. Velgrind said, but the disappointment in your eyes should be worse than death for them anyway. I could attest for that, Rimuru-sama. Noir said, who was standing behind Rimuru. If it were me, I would rather die countless times than see it directed at me. Noir said, shivering a little. Even with it not directed at me, I felt a massive amount of fear as well. This Rimuru-sama is not as forgiving as the future Rimuru-sama. One mistake and I'll be thrown out as well. Now then, Blanc and Apollyon. Rimuru said, signaling the two to step forward. While you did rescue them, you two were present and did not stop them. Rimuru stated, glaring at the two. Nor did you suggest for them to retreat and report. Any excuses you want to say? None, Rimuru-sama. Nothing, Lord Rimuru. Good to hear. You both will be supporting the substitutes of Enki and Siren with their position while doing your own work. Rimuru announced their punishment, while they did not do anything bad. The fact is, they didn't stop them. Do you have any problems with your punishment? None whatsoever, Rimuru-sama. Blanc bowed. We thank you for forgiving us, my lord. Apollyon added. Both were then ordered to leave and talk with Enki and Siren about the substitutes. Rimuru massages his temple. Well, please tell me that's all, he said as he looks toward Lei and Velgrind. Well, Velgrind looked towards Lei, who nodded her head. Rimuru-sama, the primeval universe is now infested with fire and water spirits made by the primordials. All progress in that universe has been destroyed. Luckily it was only newly found. Lei said, only 2 sectors have been officially charted, no real loses. How strong are they? Rimuru asked, can't we recover it? Most of the spirits range from C to S, from the information we have gathered. The primordial, great, spirits are at least S+ rank minimum. Velgrind answered. She laid down on the sofa. Though, I think I could defeat them if you want. No, don't, this is Enki's and Siren's punishment. Rimuru shook his head. Seriously, to think primordial spirits still exist. True, I thought they all died or scattered beyond sentience. Velgrind agreed. What should we do then? Rimuru stood up. Come, all 3 of us. We'll meet these primordial spirit of fire and water. Lei and Velgrind looked confused but followed Rimuru the gate. They traced the origin of the spirits that continued to attack them, locating the coordinates of the primordial spirits. These guys are annoying, Velgrind said as she wiped several hundred spirits with scorch magic. To think they could create these many spirits while not in their prime, Lei said as she manipulates hundreds of spirits to rampage and fight each other. As expected of the spirits that help build reality and everything else. Rimuru complimented as he spread toxins that affect spirits. Your words shall be taken as compliment, anomaly, Fire said as they finally reached their location. Anomaly, huh? I guess that fits. Rimuru smiled wryly at the name. So you two are the primordial spirits of fire and water. Indeed we are. Greetings, kin of the creator, Scorched Dragon. Water said as it greeted Velgrind. Oh my, another descendant. This time, it's from Light. Water said as she noticed Lei. Though, she feels more related to Anomaly here than to Light. Fire added as it observed them all. Anomaly must have done something. I don't recall light making an angel like her. Primordial spirits of fire and water, if you don't stop calling Rimuru here as anomaly, I'll finish you both, right here, right now. Velgrind said as she flaunts her large aura with murderous eyes. Looks like we have enraged the scorched dragon, Water said. We apologize, then what shall we call him? He does not feel like a true descendant of darkness. Do you have any titles? Fire asked Rimuru, finding something to call Rimuru. Overseer of the multiverse, granted to me by Veldanava. Rimuru simply answered. Well, I also have Anomaly as a title. Along with Silver Primordial. Can't you just call us by name? Oh, granted by the Creator, Fire said with a pinch of interest on its tone. Very well then, Overseer of the multiverse. What do we owe the pleasure of your visit to our abode? You have met some of my subordinates previously. I apologize for their unsightly retreat. Rimuru said first and foremost. They are not allowed to die without my permission. Blame me for their cowardness. Ah, their lord. Water said as it recalled Blanc talking about Rimuru-sama's property, apology and cowardice aside. Is this the real reason for your visit? Your apologies do not sound genuine after all. We do not care for your excuses, Fire added. Tell us your real purpose. That is hurtful, aside for the apology. All that I said were genuine. Rimuru said with a light laugh. Then he changed the light-hearted expression to a serious one. You both have defeated and forced my two subordinates to retreat in shame, Rimuru said. I want you two to wait a millennium. They'll come back to redeem from their shameful display. Ho, so you say Overseer. Will you be able to make them powerful enough to defeat us? Fire said with amusement. I could assume you know of our challenge, and what we desire? Yes, to have suitable successors for your remaining powers before you perish. Rimuru confirmed and answered. I'll make them suitable vessels for your powers so they can be more useful to me. Ha ha ha. Very well. Await we shall. Make sure to keep your word, Overseer. That I will. Rimuru smirked at them. Rimuru and the others soon left with those words.